So I know I just put up the video for black-eyed rice and peas, but I'm going to do a little bit extra one today. I want to teach you how to make spicy wings, buffalo wings, hot wings, however you know it by, because it's an appetizer type food and I know you're going to enjoy it. And for all the people who are watching the Super Bowl tomorrow, I want you to have something on your menu that you can make that's special. You're watching The Bear Pantry Show. So the first thing we need to do when making hot wings or buffalo wings or spicy wings or whatever you want to call it, but it's good wings. I got this big old skillet and I put about 4 cups of oil in it. If you use a smaller skillet, then you're going to put less oil. So if you had like a skillet half the size, it would only be like 2 cups of cooking oil, okay? And I'm using canola oil. And I picked up a package of wings. And I got the whole wings that we're going to have to cut apart, because if you buy them where the drumette and the other piece are separate, you're going to pay more per pound because they had to do that extra work for you. See, wings are expensive, so we don't do this too often. But tomorrow is the Super Bowl, and even though I'm not into sports, I'm definitely into food. So I want to show you guys how to make these hot wings. I'm going to get it open. And by the way, a note, if you have issues with MSG like I do, and when I say I have issues, I am terribly, terribly allergic or have adverse reaction to it. And so I don't get the wings that come pre-frozen because those are injected with MSG. And this, I'm using basic scissors that your kids would use in school. I'm sure that there's cooking shears out there, but I don't own any. And so I'm using scissors to cut off this little piece, and I'm not throwing it out because Joe likes to eat that. He fries that crispy dry. And we're separating them and putting it in this bowl. See, it has some ice in it. You can use knife, some kind of butcher's knife, but to me that's harder than doing this. Just cut it apart, separate, put in there, put Joe's piece aside. So let me get this all cut up, and then when we come back, we'll show you how to season this. In the meantime, the cooking oil is on the stove getting hot, and I'm monitoring that so it doesn't get over hot. So it took me all of 5 minutes to cut those wings apart. If I was using a knife, it would be forever because I can't even grab a hold of the wings to separate it. I put some hot water on it, poured a cup of distilled white vinegar. You know by now what we do. If it's not lemon or lime juice, it's distilled white vinegar to wash the meat. We're going to dump off this water, and then we're going to bring the wings back to the counter. Sorry. I'm using basic table salt. We're going to sprinkle a little bit on one side. We don't want to put too much. And we're going to sprinkle some black pepper. We're going to turn this over to work it in. And we're going to put some more as if putting it on the other side. But you know it's being worked in right now. Black pepper. And I'm using the fine ground black pepper, not the coarse one. And then I have my ricotta. And I guess if you want to call this Belizean spicy wings, this is what makes it Belizean. The ricotta as usual, because you know we put that on all our meat to make it taste good and make it get brown and beautiful. By the way, my oil was getting a little bit too hot, so I turned the fire down to low. But you almost want to do that, turn it on high, let that get hot, and turn it down to low, because you don't want to have to wait too much after you get this seasoned up. And these wings, you can eat it just like an appetizer with ranch dressing or honey mustard, stuff like that. But today we are going to be eating this with mashed potatoes, and of course Joe wants it with white rice. So I'm just going to get this ricotta worked in. I'm going to take it over to the stove to put it in the oil to cook for a few minutes, but I want to show you what you need to have on hand besides the salt, pepper, and the ricotta. And I'm really going to be strict with this brand, okay? The Frank's Red Hot Original. You can have another flavor than the original because they have habanero flavor. They have all types of flavor now. But the brand is Frank's and it's Red Hot. And this is the only thing that I use for hot wings. I've tried the Marie Sharp. I've tried the Hot Mamas. I've tried the other ones. And even though they taste good, they're a little bit too hot. This has a bunch of flavor in it. So let's get our wings over to the oil. So let's see if our pot's hot enough. Yeah, I'd say that that's hot enough. So that's been heating up for a total of about 7 minutes, okay? So let me go ahead and get all the pieces in here so we don't have to compete with this oil. See you in a few minutes. So right after I got the last piece in, I guess it was enough for me to drown out the noise that the pan was making. It's still on low, and I'm going to turn it up to very high fire so it could cook for about, I'm going to estimate about 15 or 20 minutes, because you want it to get brown, but you don't want it to get overcooked so it can get dry. And look here, this is our broth that's left over from the ricotta and stuff. We're not going to use this like we did in the stewed chicken, because this is basically going to be fried a little bit more dry. So let me go ahead and turn the fire up to high, and then we're going to time it. Look at the time on the stove, 2:15 in the afternoon. We're going to see how long it takes to turn them and get them brown. And I've seen a lot of chefs on TV, because of the Super Bowl thing going on, showing different ways to make wings. They boil it in beer, they do this, they do that. And to tell you the truth, this recipe I just kind of concocted in my brain, and I've always done it throughout the years, and my family loves it, so I'm gonna do it. And it's very simple, use very few ingredients. Again, our little show is the Bear Pantry Show, because we want to use very few ingredients. So in the meantime, I'm going to get some potatoes going while this is cooking, because like I said, we're going to have this with mashed potatoes. But today's feature are these wings. So we're checking up on the wings. It's been about, let's see the time, I think about 11 minutes or so, 12 minutes since we put it on. We're keeping track of the time, right? So I turn them over with the tongs. They're not quite brown enough yet. They're not quite cooked enough yet. So in the meantime, I'm going to turn on the oven, because that's the next phase of doing these wings. We're going to actually put them in the oven for a few minutes. But when we put them in the oven, they're pretty much going to be done cooking. It's just to add the spices and let it soak in. So we want this to cook some more, and we're going to keep tabs on the time to see how much longer. Here are beautiful wings. It's looking more done than not, but it's still not quite done. It's not going to burn, but some of them are fat, so you want to make sure they cook all the way through and there's no blood when you bite into it. And that you can also chew it. Sometimes I get wings from different wing place, and I'm so disappointed because you're chewing and chewing and chewing, you can't get to it, get it done. So we're going to check back in this in a few minutes. I'm going to get ready to transfer this to the oven. You take a look at the time, 2:39 from when we started. I'm going to subtract and tell us how long. See how beautiful they look? Well, these are almost ready. I'd say 2 or 3 more minutes. I wanted to give you a list of the names that MSG will hide under. A lot of people know it as monosodium glutamate, and other names that it hides under is hydrolyzed food starch, hydrolyzed plant protein, hydrolyzed food protein, natural flavors, and vegetable protein. Now I'm going to have a little talk with you in a little bit about why I wanted you to know this information. Alrighty, so look at our wings. We're just taking them from the oil. You know, try to drip it. We don't have to pat this dry or anything, but just try to drip the oil off. And we're going to put all these pieces in this baking thing right here, 9 by 13, or you can put a Pyrex dish, whatever you have on hand. And then I'm going to take it to the counter and show you what all we're going to add to it before we put it in the oven. I got all the pieces in this pan, and here I am pouring this pepper so liberally. Wow, the capsaicin in this is so strong, it's already getting in my nostrils. I hope it doesn't make me sneeze. You want it poured over all the chicken wings. So pretty, isn't it? See if I have to use the whole bottle. And we're going to put some butter just all over so it could melt in. No special rule, no special rhyme or reason to putting this or how to get it on. We just want that to be melted in when it goes in the oven. So now we're going to transfer this to the oven that's been preheated. Remember, I started heating it a while ago. We're going to bake this for like 15 minutes or so. We're going to time it too. Ready for the oven. So there we are. I'll be back in a few minutes to check on it. So while the wings are in the oven, I wanted to talk with you for a quick minute about MSG. Remember I told you I was going to give you some information on what it does to me. It gives me dizzy spells, headaches, ringing in my ear. You know, sometimes I get disoriented. One time, like 8 years ago, before I figured out what was going on with me, I remember I was driving and I got to a green light and I just stopped and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if it meant go or stop or whatever, so I just kind of pulled over, pulled myself together, got back to my business where Joe was, and I asked my neighbor, who was very knowledgeable about food and nutrition and stuff, what could have happened, and that's when he enlightened me to everything that MSG does. So I don't want to get too preachy about it, but if you have any of these symptoms and you think you might be having trouble, you check the foods that you're doing. That's why I got into the habit since then not to eat any food on the street. Maybe we eat out twice a year. And I really punish when I go eat out. There's only a few restaurants that I can tolerate. And I cook everything here, and I make sure everything says no MSG. And that's why I told you before, I don't use a whole lot of spices and stuff, except the things that I create from the cilantro and the garlic and everything that I blend. So I hope I've enlightened you to some information about MSG. Look at our beautiful finished product. Our little spicy wings. We have all this gravy and hot sauce all over it here. I think I kept it in the oven for about 12 minutes. You don't want it to get too dry. That's the main problem that a lot of people have with their wings, is that it gets dry. So let's see what we're gonna serve these wings with. Okay, so I tried to do this really quick. I kind of thought about it last minute, spur of the moment. I had to work today, but tomorrow again is a Super Bowl. And I saw too many recipes on TV with hot wings that I decided I wanted to share that with my viewers to show you how to do it. Maybe some of you will make it and tell me how it comes out. I love you for subscribing. I thank you for watching. Until I see you again. What? Put it back. Put it back. Come over here. I want to show you my little thief. This is my eldest son, Josh. He's 22 years old. He's the one that did the book cover, and he comes out to steal the hot wings whenever they're ready, and he's going to eat it with ranch dressing. And I told you we have the mashed potato.